So if this is the first time that you've changed out the oil on your lower unit, doesn't really matter what brand, Yamaha, Mercury, Mercruiser, or whatever, you got two oil plugs. Um, the top one called the oil vent, and the bottom one is the drain. And you basically just pull both of those, and oil's going to dump out the bottom. Get yourself a little can to collect the refuse. And once that's empty, which is the purpose of this video, I made a little vacuum pump to refill it, because it's always a pain in the neck to get the oil back in. So what you got here is your gear oil with a siphon hose up on top so that it's higher than the level of the fluid that's going back into the lower unit. And I've got a vacuum hose on the top vent line running back into a vacuum pump that I just made out of a refrigerator compressor. Somebody pitched the refrigerator on the side of the road, and I scabbed the compressor out of it and just made it into a vacuum pump, which I use for a lot of things, bleeding brakes or transmission or lower units. So the idea here is you're pulling a vacuum on the top hole, feeding oil into the bottom hole, and when you start to see oil come out of the top, you kill the power on the compressor or vacuum pump, and I'm going to disconnect this little connection right here, and I'm going to wait to see that oil continues to flow out of that hose, because it will, because of gravity and siphon, although it's going to be super slow. So I'm going to give it a couple of minutes, and then when it does freely flow out on its own, then it's totally topped off. You can pull off this top hose first and put the oil vent plug back in, and then pull this bottom hose off, and then put your standard plug with the magnet back in. And that's pretty much it. Alright, starting to see a few bubbles coming out the top here. Once it looks like it thinks it's going to be solid, I'm going to kill the power on the compressor slash vacuum pump. Getting close. Well, gotta pull it now because the oil's gonna get into the vacuum pump.